Hello, everyone. Today I want to talk to you guys about morally gray characters and how they're ruining stories for me. It's not that I mind the existence of morally gray characters. I think they're really interesting. It's that there's way too many of them, and stories are totally destroyed because every single character in it doesn't know right from wrong, and that's because the author doesn't know right from wrong. An example would be a story about a young man who needs a mentor in his life, and so he bonds with a neighbor. And the neighbor seems noble. He helps old ladies cross the street, and he shares wisdom. That's good. But then you find out, hilariously, that this neighbor has a telescope on his balcony, and he uses it to leer at women. But you just laugh it off. That's what the author wants you to do. Just laugh it off, and then watch as this guy keeps leering at women, but more importantly, helps the hero, and is praised by everyone in the story. Yeah, that's the kind of morally gray character I hate, and they're everywhere. It's super, super irritating. That can even apply to real life too, which I think is why I hate it so much, because stories influence people. And if there's a famous actor, for example, that a kid loves and idolizes, that kid probably won't care that that author or that actor is dead at 55 from liver failure because he abused alcohol his whole life. And so these stories where these clearly evil characters are made to seem heroic and their evil is laughed off or brushed off, it actually hurts people. And so it's really frustrating when I come across stories like that all the time. A story with a strong moral, or at least one strong, or at least one morally good character, they're really hard to find. And it's super, super frustrating. I like morally gray characters that have some redeeming qualities, as in they're trying to not be evil, or there's hope for them not to be evil. You can kind of see where the character could go, and it could be good or bad, and I don't really care which way it goes, as long as that possibility is there. But that's like the only kind of morally gray character I accept, really. Unless the morally gray character is a villain, and it's obvious that they're a villain through the characters and the author, then I don't mind them. Morally gray characters are evil, and so, evil characters make good villains. So yeah, I think that's about all I have to say. Is there anything else? I guess my definition of morally gray character is a little different than the norm. I think traditionally they're viewed as like the Han Solo types, where they do evil things like smuggling. But yeah, there's the hope that they're redeemed at the end. Well, I don't really know what it's called to have a morally gray character that the author doesn't admit is morally gray, and admits that they're pure and good, even though they're totally evil. I'm not sure what I should coin, or if there is someone else who's coined the term for that kind of character. I guess I could dive into some morally gray character tropes. Maybe in another video I'll do that. Oh yeah, I was really irritated the other day when I realized that gray is one of my favorite colors, and morally gray characters are ruining fiction, so I'm kind of torn. But anywho, I think that's all I have for today, unless I can think of something here. And I guess all the stories I've loved have had characters that knew right from wrong and tried to do right. I think that's another point I can add. What do you guys think about morally gray characters? Are your stories, your favorite stories, ones where the characters and the author know right from wrong? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments about that. I guess another aspect of morally gray characters is that authors try to write morally gray characters, but it turns out that their evil is actually not evil. So I guess it's kind of the flip side. So like, I guess the example that comes to mind is Snape from, or was it not Snape, but Han Solo from Star Wars, because you never really see him do anything evil. I mean, you know that he's like, spoilers, he's up to bad business with Jabba, who's like a criminal, like a mob boss. But you don't really see Han Solo do anything evil. He's, considered by a lot of people to be morally gray. But I think that's just because he's not really helping the heroes. So when he shot Greedo first, that's totally justified action because Greedo's, going to murder him. And he was smuggling, but again, you're smuggling stuff in an evil empire, so it's probably totally justified, your smuggling activities. So that'd be another side of the morally gray character, is the morally gray character that's actually good, which actually is a pretty common theme I've noticed in comic books. I don't actually read comics, but I watch videos of people reviewing comics, and I guess they've kind of taken a nosedive in quality the last, 5 or 6 years. And one feature in these comics is that the evil characters will usually have actually what they're saying out of their mouths. It's that blatant is actually true and good, and then the heroes fight against them because the heroes are sociopaths. But I think it's because the writers are sociopaths. I also encountered this when I was watching The Dragon Prince. I guess some of the creators who did Avatar: The Last Airbender did The Dragon Prince. It's on Netflix. It's like an animated show where, I guess spoilers, kind of mild spoilers, where the main villain is actually, he becomes evil. He does do evil things, but it kind of comes out of nowhere. Up until that point, everything he said was totally reasonable and good. And then he just kind of started kidnapping people out of nowhere. I think in that the plot was, spoilers, that dark magic was bad because it used creatures' souls. But I don't think that's bad. It depends on whose soul, on what souls you're using. Because, if you can suck the soul out of, 3 chickens to cast a giant fireball, I think that's totally good and fine. And that's basically what his argument was that using animal souls is very practical. And it's yeah, it totally is practical. And yeah, the story started with just dark magic being evil because it uses creatures' souls, and that was very unconvincing. Especially since this villain seemed to care about his family and his kingdom and everything. He seemed to be a good guy who was very practical. So I guess when you don't know right from wrong, it can kind of, you can write yourself into corners where you tell the audience something is evil when it's totally not. But maybe I'm living in a society where most people wouldn't catch that using chicken souls to cast fire magic isn't actually evil, because we have the right to hunt and kill and consume animals. So anyway, I think that's the last of my thoughts for real this time. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, and I'm happy to report that my one video for the week is done. So you can't shame me in the comments, at least about that. I'll talk to you guys later.